Want to have your clip featured in the Skyrim Clip of the Week? Simply record the clip on your Xbox and then send it to me via message. My gamertag is iRyeni, that's IRYENI, and then you can message it to me over Xbox and I'll be able to view it. I look forward to seeing the clips that you guys send me. Now moving on to the video. Hey, what's up guys, it's Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of Modded Monday. We're on week number 258 now, guys. I've picked out 5 new mods for you guys to check out, and perhaps add them to your load order if you find them interesting. But like always, before we jump into them, I want to remind you guys that I'm partnered with GamerSupps, which in my opinion is the best energy drink on the market, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to check out the link in the description where you can go to their store page, and you can also use the code RTD for a 10% discount on all your purchases. I also want to say, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any brand new mods each and every single week. Now that all that's out of the way, we can jump into this week's mods, and starting us off we have a very simple weapon mod called the Dwarven Hand Cannon. Now the mod page reads that this adds a new weapon into the game called the Dwarven Hand Cannon. You can unleash a devastating barrage of explosions with this artillery piece of long-lost Dwemer technology. This handheld mortar fires exploding projectiles that can apply a variety of magical effects to the targets. The projectiles fly in an arc, so aiming may be more challenging than with other ranged weapons. Now the damage of this cannon is affected by several factors. Archery skill and weapon upgrading increases direct hit damage, and destruction skill increases the elemental magic damage. The explosions themselves add a bit of damage as well, and may knock down targets too. Now the cannon can be crafted at the forge at level 30 smithing and with the Dwarven smithing perk. The ammunition for the weapon is crafted at the forge as well in the miscellaneous category, and leveling both alchemy and enchanting is required for crafting the ammunition. Weakest type requiring level 25 and the strongest type requiring level 60 in both alchemy and enchanting. So there's tons of grinding your skills that you're going to have to be able to, get up to before you can actually start using this weapon as effective as possible and making it extremely overpowered. And there's also 7 different types of ammo available too, so there's so many different varieties of this Dwarven hand cannon that you can have, and different projectiles that you can shoot too. So you can have a firebomb that launches out of your cannon, you can have a regular fire shot, you can have a frost as well as a frost bomb, a shock as well as a shock bomb, and even a stun bomb too that paralyzes enemies on hit. Now the cannon may also appear as loot inside of Dwemer ruins after reaching level 20, and Dwarven automatrons sometimes drop ammo for the cannon too. The weapon and its ammo are injected into leveled lists with a script, so that means you can also be killed by enemies using this as well, so you have to be careful everywhere you go after level 20. You could be hit with one of these from very far away, or you could walk into a Dwemer ruin and just get blindsided by a giant firebomb projectile. The possibilities are endless whenever it comes with combat with this mod, and I know that guns aren't really in Skyrim, but this isn't really a gun. It's more so just a Dwarven little hand cannon that you can shoot little fireballs out of. It has a very similar feel to the stabs in the game, where you have firebomb stabs and shock bomb stabs. It's just a lot more satisfying to use in combat because it's an actual weapon that you can fire and craft ammunition for, and it's just a lot more satisfying to use in combat. So if you're looking for a way to absolutely decimate the enemies in your next battle, but you want to have that little bit of a grind where you have to actually work your way up to building all of this damage behind this, then the Dwarven hand cannon is definitely a weapon mod I'd recommend checking out because it's so satisfying to use, and especially whenever you hit long range shots and you're just taking on a bunch of people at once, or you kill a bunch of people with one shot, it's just a great thing to use in combat, and I absolutely love it. So that's definitely why this mod's featured here at a number 5 spot, so I'd strongly recommend downloading the Dwarven hand cannon and giving it a try for yourself. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have a brand new beautiful player home that's unlike any other player home mod I've seen in Skyrim. This is the Fire Manor Special Edition. And the mod page reads that this is a very train whiz house, which seems to be a buzzword that we're saying a lot in this video and, this series as a whole, because I feel a lot of train whiz mods are being ported over to Xbox Skyrim now, and I absolutely love them. Now this is built as a home away from home from the great Telvanni lord, and this fire manor has set for centuries in Clockwork City, changing hands almost as often as losing its modules. With the Neverine off in Akavir and Lord Fur having fun in some pocket realm, the manor desires a new caretaker. And what better caretaker than the Dragonborn himself? So without waiting to see if they even want the house, the Dovahkiin now finds himself warped to the last working part of Sotha Sil, and ruthlessly given one of the greatest houses ever constructed. Now the features of this house mod include an easy access teleport where you can teleport to the house from a little thing that you get in your inventory once you hit level 10. It's a little puzzle sphere that you can just activate inside of your miscellaneous category in your inventory, and it just warps you to your player home just that easy. This house is also ideal for technological and magical based characters. It has lots of storage, including auto sorting storage. It's fully nav meshed and lit up perfectly, has support for spouses, has Dawnguard and Hearthfire support, and it even comes with fully voiced AI butlers. And this AI butler that you get is named Server, as you can see I'm talking to him right now, and he's ready to answer all of your questions and lose your room somewhere in a pocket realm. That's right, you don't just get this entire player home for free, you have some questing and looting to do as well. The player can find additional room modules out in the world and hook them up to the house mainframe, unlocking more and more rooms to complete their house. And this is one of my favorite parts about the mod, because whenever you talk to Server and you ask about the missing rooms, he'll give you a list of all the modules that you can find out in the world and a little clue on how to find them. So in this example thing that you're seeing right here, as you can see, I'm following around Eorland Greymane because he's of course the best blacksmith, and one of the clues is that the best blacksmith carries it, but he doesn't carry it near the forge. So I did some thinking and I'm like, okay, maybe it's in his house somewhere. So I followed him back to his house at night, and of course I found it in his house. So I just followed a little bit of a puzzle and actually got the reward of finding it on my own. I didn't have to look up where it was or anything like that. And you can do that with every other room module that you can find inside of the little list that Server gives you. So there's tons of questing that you have to do on your own, and you don't get any type of, quest marker where it tells you where the rooms are. You have to do some thinking about your knowledge in Skyrim and actually find the modules on your own. And whenever you do find them, it's a very rewarding feeling because you had to think all of it out, and then you get a brand new part of your player home as a reward. There's easy room access where you can simply ask Server which room you'd like and find it attached to the house and be ready for whatever you want to do in those rooms. So once you find the module, you can enter it into this little chest that's to the left of Server in your main hub area, and then you can just select the room that you want, and then off to your right you go pull the lever, and boom, you're in that room now. It's very, very easy to get the hang of, and you can also find secrets, treasures, custom objects, notes, and lore in these rooms left behind your predecessors for you to discover. There's also new hidden equipment, including artifacts from past games, new spells, and custom architecture and textures. So there's so much to discover here in this massive player home, and I absolutely love it, especially the fact that you get to do questing on your own, and it's kind of like a little puzzle game that you have to find all the different types of room modules and actually put them all together in order to unlock the massive player home. And this is just a great mod all around, so if you're sick of doing your normal questing in Skyrim and you just want something completely different where you're going to scour all across the world of Skyrim for these room modules, and you get really rewarded with the rooms and a beautiful player house at the end of it, then the Fire Manor is definitely a mod I'd recommend checking out, so go download it and become its proud new owner for yourself. Coming in at the number 3 spot this week, we have one of the most unique and impressive weapon mods that I've seen in such a long time of Skyrim modding. This is the Extraplanar Sword Techniques 2 mod. And these are faithful recreations of 6 samurai abilities and weapons from the Final Fantasy Tactics. And these samurai abilities are tied to the katanas that you can find, and in total you have 6 new unique magical attacks at your disposal. They're activated automatically when blocking, dealing out high but fixed amounts of damage, and have a 10-second global cooldown. Some of these include the Verse of Oblivion, which is a technique that releases the spirit in the user's katana, sending the Whispering Dead to feed on the target's magicka. This manifests a cloak of butterflies, and the user absorbs magicka from nearby enemies. It also doesn't affect friendly characters either. And some of the effects that you see come off of these, and just the explosions, and just how everything was put together, and just the unique style of it, I absolutely love it, and I've never seen anything like it in any other mod that I've covered in Skyrim. But some of the other abilities you have, there's Purifying Breeze, which is a technique that releases the spirit in the user's katana, bestowing the protection of its evanescent life force, which summons a magic whirlwind, which grants the user and all friendly characters increased resistance to physical and magical damage. Moving on, we have the Doomed Aspirations ability, which means the spirits take a moment to appear where the ability has been cast, and they deal magical damage and demoralize lower level enemies. After that, we have the Sanguine Blossom, which wreaks havoc with its all-consuming hatred. And it provides an invisible wave that's released whenever the ability is cast, and it travels in a straight line and for a long distance, destroying everything in its path. Which is very similar to the next one, which is Ethereal Embrace, which is the exact same thing. It's an invisible wave that travels in a straight line, destroying everything, but it bestows increased health regeneration and movement speed, so it's kind of the good version of Sanguine Blossom, that actually heals everything. After that, you have Raging Inferno, which pursues the living as a band of blue flames, and it summons 3 swirling flame spirits which decimate all nearby enemies. The flame spirits then merge into one large flame spirit and pursue distant enemies for a moment, scorching everything in its path, and it deals magic damage too. And you may be thinking just by looking at some of this gameplay that I'm providing here that these swords are absolutely overpowered and broken, but they aren't just handed to you. You have to earn them. It's recommended that you're at least level 30 before you even try to get any of these swords into your possession, because you have to defeat 7 bosses added to Skyrim's world space. You must defeat them in order to obtain these new katanas, and you can find these bosses at Shadowgreen Caverns, Darkfall Cave, the Sky Shadow Ruins, and Silent City in Blackreach. The final boss is the Silent City in Blackreach, so be prepared for an extremely challenging fight. So if you like what you see by this gameplay, which I for one think it's incredibly impressive that they were able to pull all of these magical effects off and make them look this beautiful and actually work in combat and make it feel so satisfying, if you think you're ready for the challenge and you want to take on some of these bosses, I'd strongly recommend downloading the Extraplanar Sword Techniques 2 mod and taking on some of these bosses and obtaining these extremely powerful katanas for yourself. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have a mod that alters every single area in Skyrim with a bunch of new vanilla assets to make it feel a lot more immersive and unique. This is the Houses, Shops, and Inns all-in-one mod. This mod adds food, furniture, cooking pots, beds, and other objects to most of Skyrim and Solstheim's houses and civilized inhabited places, making them feel a lot more lived in and different from each other. And you may have noticed whenever you're traveling around Skyrim, how not only the inns, but also some of the farmhouse-style houses are basically copies of each other on the inside, and most lack cooking pots and have a grand total of 3 potatoes and 2 leeks as food. This is where the mod creator decided to step in and fix this. In general, changes in houses are limited to adding small stuff like food, personal objects, decorations, a few idle markers so the owners don't just stand around and look awkward, as well as the merchants that get an upgrade to their displayed wares, as well as assigning ownership to beds and chairs if needed to avoid weird situations. They even upgraded and downgraded the furniture style according to the wealth of each family in the houses, and replaced some furniture for ones more culturally appropriate. For example, the Dunmer and Windhelm get to have dark elf furniture at home and feel less unwanted in the city. Many other clutter items like empty baskets, 10,000 tankards, or astonishing amounts of wine bottles have been removed to actual food and normal stuff, and to improve the looks of these houses as well. Almost all civilized places now have a cooking pot or spit now, and some ovens and butter churns. In a few places, the changes are quite extensive, and in addition to regular NPC homes, they've also modified inns, player homes, and some guild headquarters, as well as a couple other places too. Now there's 5 options of this mod to choose from. You don't actually have to download the all-in-one version. You basically have the basic module, the guilds module, the inns module, as well as the player homes module. And then of course we have the all-in-one version that we have right here. Now the only thing that this mod requires is the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch, and this should be compatible with everything that you have because they only use vanilla assets to add so much more to these houses, shops, and inns in Skyrim. So no matter where you travel to in Skyrim, whether you're in someone's house, a guild headquarters, an inn, a tavern, or just some random shop that you stumble into, there's going to be so many more things on display, and it's going to feel a lot more lived in, and this alters every single area that you travel to in Skyrim, which I find to be incredible because this mod only comes in at 3.63 megabytes. And you may be asking, how is that even possible? But it only uses vanilla assets, so there's no like custom textures or anything like that. It just uses objects that were already in the game and just places them them in a bunch of different locations and makes it feel a lot more lived in and unique. And that's what I absolutely love about this mod. And as you can see, as I'm showing you some of the new areas in the game, you can notice so many different changes, especially to the inns and taverns. There's a new area to sit in the water and actually have a little sauna going on and just relax for the day. This is just a great mod to add to any other load order that you may be thinking of. And like I said, it should be compatible with any other mod that you decide to add into your load order because they're only vanilla assets and they don't really change much other than adding new small areas that you can travel to, or maybe a bunch of new items on the shelves or things on display. And that's definitely why this mod's featured here at our number 2 spot this week. So if you're looking to completely spruce up every single interior that you can see in Skyrim, then the houses, shops, and inns all in one mod is definitely a mod I'd recommend checking out. Coming in at the number 1 spot this week, we have a mod that's going to completely change everything you know about bandit encounters and just clearing areas out as you progress through Skyrim. This is the Hero of Fort Takeover bundle mod. And the mod page reads that this is a bundle of Fort Takeover mods that make your actions when clearing an area so much more meaningful. You can now claim an area for the Stormcloaks, Imperials, or a local city, and when you return in a short time, it will be inhabited by that group instead of repopulated with bandits. So if I stumble across the Robber's Gorge and I clear it out of all of the bandits, I can then find a flag to walk up to, and if I'm playing whether it's a Stormcloak character, an Imperial character, or if I just don't want anything to do with the Civil War and I just want it to be owned by the city that's closest by, I can choose them to take it over for me. And whenever I do, I can leave the area and come back at a later time, and it'll be inhabited and spruced up and have so much more going on in it, and it won't just be repopulated with bandits, as I said. So it's something that's going to continue on and not just be a cleared location that's just going to be completely empty. You now have a way to use these locations as a means of, having a new smith appear in town, or having a, someone to sell goods to, or having a bunch of guards at a new area in Skyrim. This is an absolutely beautiful mod because it makes actually taking over a location meaningful and actually not just a random place that once you clear it all the way out, it's just useless and you don't really have much of a use for it anymore. This bundle uses the Lawbringer ESP name, which is a mod that we've covered on the channel before. Lawbringer is a great mod that we've actually included in our load orders before, which is basically the mod that allows us to do this. But this doesn't just include Lawbringer, it includes 55 ESPs, including all of Lawbringer and Skyrim Realistic Conquering locations. We have Serenity, Skybound Underhand Camp, Tactical Valtheim, Engorged Robber's Gorge, Missives, and Patches to make them all work together. And like I said, this includes the Skyrim Realistic Conquering all-in-one mod inside of here, which includes mods such as the Dragon Bridge Overlook 1.0, Snowpoint Beacon, Riverside Shack, Shore's Watchtower, and this doesn't just cover Skyrim, it also covers Solstheim as well, because inside of this bundle you have the House Rule Lawbringer for Solstheim mod, which is basically the Lawbringer mod but for Solstheim, where you can conquer a bunch of locations in Solstheim as well. And one of my favorite parts about this mod is the fact that you yourself get to choose who takes over the camp. Whether it be the Stormcloaks, Imperials, or the local city, meaning if I choose the Stormcloaks on a character, it'll have a bunch of different Stormcloak troops that come in and, set up shop and everything like that. Or if I choose the Imperials, they'll come in and set up tents and blacksmiths and, a bunch of different target practicing areas. Or if I just choose the local city, a bunch of the local city guards, whether they be Whiterun guards or Riften guards or anything like that, any type of city that's nearby, those guards from that town will then come on in and make it changed in a different way as well. So there's so many different possibilities for characters that you may be playing, whether you're playing Stormcloak, Imperial, or just someone who doesn't want to get involved in the war. The options are completely yours whenever you take over a settlement like this, and I absolutely love that part of this mod. So if you want to make every single area that you clear out in Skyrim so much more useful and have so much more meaning, then the Hero Fort Takeover bundle is definitely a mod I'd recommend adding to your load order because it'll completely change how you play Skyrim. And that's definitely why this mod's featured here at a number 1 spot, so I strongly recommend downloading it and giving it a try for yourself. So that's pretty much it for this week's episode of the top 5 Skyrim mods of the week. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and subscribe if you're new. It really helps me out a lot. And if you have any suggestions for mods you'd like me to cover in future top 5 mod episodes, be sure to let me know in the comment section below, or you can follow me on Twitter. I'll be sure to leave my Twitter in the description, and you guys can follow me on there and leave me suggestions there as well. Special shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have done for me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I will talk to you guys later.